Questions for Coach.
You guys got Rink cleared for contact. What's that picture look like? And I assume is he full go with everything?
He is full go. It'll be his first extended 5-on-5 session tomorrow. We're gonna scrimmage more. It won't be a full scrimmage. We'll still control it a little bit, but it'll be good to see Rink out there and see how he's doing. We're gonna be careful. We'll stop it if it's going too many possessions to get him in and out. But you can see him getting more comfortable every day he's out there. I thought today was his best day. Thought his lift looked better after a weekend off, and it's just so good to have him out there. You kind of forget all the things that he does for this team, not only with his ability to shoot it and stretch the floor, but defensively, he's one of the better pick and roll defenders on this team. Gets deflections in his communication. The way he talks throughout the possession on both ends of the floor, we really missed that last year. So it's been awesome to have him. He's still rusty, as expected, when you have over a year off the court, but he's getting better every practice. So yeah, it's such a luxury having him back out there on the floor.
What do you think holistically, what do you think you've learned about your team through these summer sessions?
Well, first of all, I can't believe how fast it's gone. I can't believe we've already, going into our 6th week. And I'll say this, I love how they compete. Every day, the guys have never come in where we've had to jump them to get them going. That's been an innate quality with this team, is they come in the gym ready to go. And that's huge for the coaching staff. And if it has been a little lethargic, the guys get together and they talk themselves out of it right away. Very few times have we had to stop a drill and re-explain something. I mean, some of our younger guys at times, we're still getting them acclimated, but overall this has been a team that's learned, I think, very quickly, and we've thrown a lot at them. And we put a cleanup edit for them to watch on their own in the evening, just because we have a limited number of hours we can be with them in the gym. And they've been very diligent with their work, and that's the biggest thing I've been impressed with, is how they've come in every day and competed. And we, as all teams at this stage of the game, we've got a lot to clean up, but I'm really happy with what we've gotten accomplished here this summer.
I got 2 questions for you. I'll start with the fun one. Jurassic Park, what do you think?
I thought it was okay. I love the original. That's a top 5 movie for me of all time. When they're starting to look like aliens now, I just didn't. I'm a purist. Yeah.
And then more on a serious note, last time you spoke to us, you said there were potentially 3 or 4 point guards you're looking at. How's that position battle going?
Yeah, it's going well. It's great to have Jamarcus back out there. I love his pace that he plays with on every possession. And he's done a really nice job of finding guys. I've had to tell him to be more aggressive on the offensive end. He's had a very good week shooting. Last week he shot the ball very well. But he's really taken it upon himself to try to get everybody involved, which you have to have if you're going to play with the ball in your hands as much as he does. I've been really impressed with Kendall Blue's decision making. He's done a great job getting the ball into the pocket where a lot of good things happen when we get it in there, whether you spray it out to the extra in the corner, the big can go in there and finish. But you can play with numbers when you draw 2 to the ball, and I think Kendall's done a really good job of reading those situations. Sam actually has had the most assists of anybody on our team this summer, whether it's with the ball in his hands or off ball. We've had a few guys in and out a little bit with some little nagging, nothing serious, but little nagging injuries, which has gotten other guys a chance to play with the ball in their hands. And then Kale's just rock solid. Anytime he has the ball, getting us into an action, seeing where guys are on the floor. Kale's one of the smartest players, that we've had. And then Rink, I throw him in that mix as well, as a guy that can certainly initiate the offense for us. And again, it's pretty rare when you have a 5-man that can pressure up the floor. So, having the big that can be, somewhat of a pressure release, again, is one of the things we missed a lot with Rink out of the lineup a year ago.
I know Leo Curtis impressed you over his first month here. After that time off, has he kind of picked up where he left off, or what's his kind of integration look like?
We've been careful with Leo. Just he played a lot of games in a short amount of time with his national team. So we've been understanding the time zone that he had to travel through to get back here, and we didn't do anything live with him last week. Today was really his first day back, where he actually did some live work, and then he'll do some, not all. He and Rink will actually split a lot of the reps tomorrow in the scrimmage, but we just want to make sure that we go into the fall healthy with Leo. And again, I talked about Leo's skill, but his IQ is off the charts. And he's still got to work on his body, as all freshmen do, and mature a little bit in that area. But he does a lot of really good things out there on the floor on both ends. He just moves so well for a young kid that's 7'1", and he's got a really bright future ahead of him.
With Kale in that point guard rotation, how have you seen him build on the last 4 or 5 games he had in end class season?
Yeah, I think a big thing is confidence, knowing that you can go out there and make a big impact. He was as important as anybody on the floor for us in that little run we made at the end of the season in the tournament, and he's carried that over into the summer. And Kale's the guy that's always going to get out there and work. You see him in the gym all the time. All our guys, we've got that little shooting system now, the Noah shooting system, and you can see who's in the gym getting shots up, and Kale's one of the top guys as far as a guy that's putting in extra work to really make that consistent. And he shot it well. When you look at what he did in the Crown, knocking down shots at a high percentage, but timely shots. He made some huge ones for us in crunch time. So, he continues to make that consistent. He does so many other things out there for us. That he's going to definitely be a rotation player for us.
Have you seen Freger's confidence also grow? Where's he at right now?
Yeah, I promise you this: I'm never going to have to worry about Freger's confidence. He lets that thing fly, and I love that. I love that about him. And his pop, his athleticism, he just goes out. He's relentless after the ball, and he's been solid defensively. That's one thing I think you worry a little bit about is the transition when you become eligible after a redshirt year. Is how are you going to pick up the system? He's done a really good job with the offense, but I've been impressed with defensively how quickly he has picked up the system, because we do have a complicated scheme that we run on that end of the floor, but he's picked it up very quickly. And his physicality, his athleticism, that's what's going to separate Braden.
Do you think this team's going to talk more? I know last year you liked that team, but sometimes you said guys wouldn't talk as much.
You always want them to talk more. And we have, bless you, we have had to stop practices at times to get them to talk more. And listen, having Rink out there has been great. I think Sam has really stepped up his leadership with his voice. But again, I'm going to continue to point to Rink with the intangibles, those little things that you miss that you're seeing back out there again. You take it for granted a little bit, but Rink has done a great job getting out there, setting the tone with his voice. And then again, Sam, Kale, Jamarcus has been really impressive with his voice as well. Braden's got a good voice. So yeah, I think as a whole, collectively, I do think it's a better talking group. The true test is, are they going to continue to do it when things get tough, when adversity hits us? Are they going to continue to go out there and talk as a group? Because if you don't, you put your head down, in this league, you're done.
I know Berke approached this as a pretty critical off season for him, just to kind of get his body right coming off the injury. Has he made the type of progress you would have hoped over the last few months?
Yeah, he's been good. He's dealing with a little nagging injury right now. He will not play tomorrow in the scrimmage. But overall, I'd say BK has had an unbelievable summer. And I think a big part of it, he came in a lot better shape than he did a year ago. He had national team commitments last year, and then he took a little bit of an extended time off coming in, and that put him behind a little bit at the beginning. When BK was in great shape last year, that's when we played our best basketball. So I've been really impressed with the shape that he came in. He stayed lean throughout the summer, and these are a critical couple weeks. He's going to stay in town. He's not going home this year like he did a year ago, and I really think that's going to help him.
What have you seen from Jamarcus in that year since you had him? Where he's really grown?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mike. First time, not just kidding, but he is a you're my guy, Mike. The thing I've seen the biggest growth with Jamarcus is his leadership, and he was really quiet, and he was a guy that would put his head down a little bit when you got on him and he coached him and he jumped him. But that's the area I've seen the most growth with Jamarcus, is just overall leadership. You can see him over there on the sideline, even when he's not in the rep. He's trying to talk Q, telling him where to be. He's talking to Leo. He's talking to our young guys, because I think he knows how hard that is when you come in as a freshman or a young player, maybe a new person into the system like Kendall. But Jamarcus has been all in, and I've been really pleased with everything that he went through a year ago. He was thrust into a position last year at the point where he started and had the ball in his hands a lot. I really think that helped him, and he played for a guy I really respect a lot in Archie. So, I think Jamarcus has been terrific, and looking for a big year out of him.
What does the adjustment look like for Kendall playing with the ball in his hands when he plays off ball offense?
Yeah, I think that's his value. I think when you got a guy that's 6'6", that can play make like that, it's a great luxury to have. You can see over the top of the defender. You generally have a smaller guy on you. We had a couple years ago with Greasel, we'd put him in the post quite a bit in mismatch situations. So just having a guy that has that type of size that can play the lead guard and get you into an offense is a great luxury to have. And I love bigger guards, and he's shown flashes of being really good with the ball in his hands.
I know it's a lot for Quentin as a true freshman, what he's taking on right now, but how's he doing with it?
Yeah, I've talked about this with Q. I do think he's as athletic as anybody on our team, and he does things that you just can't teach. And he'll continue to go through it. He's made improvements every week as far as picking things up, and it's hard. I remember going in as a freshman, just how wide-eyed you are, with the whole thing, especially playing with as many older guys as we have on this group. But Q, he can make a shot, he can make tough shots, and just that athleticism that you can't teach. He gets in the stance on the defensive end of the floor. And that's what we talk to him. You guys want to roll, go out and defend. Go out and show you can guard. Go out and, show you can be a guy that can steal possessions for you. So, again, it's going to be a very competitive fall. It's been a very competitive summer. The 5 weeks and then the practices, the 30 practices we get heading into the season, will determine who's going to be out there on the floor. But right now, I have no idea of what the overall, who's going to actually be in the rotation. We've had some guys that have stood out that I know will be in it, but there's still guys fighting, for spots in the rotation, and it's great. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun this summer, just because again of the competitive spirit of this group, and all that will be determined here when we get back from the break.
With not knowing what the rotation will be, does that excite you or does that stress you out?
It stresses me out. Yeah, and that's one of the things that causes sleepless nights. Amy, it all plays itself out eventually. The rotation at the beginning of the year a lot of times isn't what it is at the end. Guys step up. Kale's a perfect example. Sam and Jamarcus were good examples of that a couple of years ago with Bandamel and Gary going down. And it is stressful, but at the same time it's a good problem to have when you have as many players, I think, that can step on the floor and make an impact for you. And then we'll have a lot of scrimmages. We'll have the exhibitions against BYU and Midland, and all that will play a part. Who's doing the extra work, who's watching their film, who's going out there and taking steps in the right direction every single time they step on the floor. All that matters. This summer, played a part in who we think is ready and who needs more work. They're all going to go home with the program. They're all going to go home with a film edit, and it's a time to get better. It's not a time to go sit in the couch and eat bonbons. Nobody in our team knew what a bonbon was, but it's a time for these guys to improve and come back. And we can't skip a beat. We don't have as much time in the fall as we've had in the past. It's just a little bit of a shortened season heading into the opener. So it's important these guys continue to learn when they're on the break.
Going back to point guard, when you have 4 options plus Rink, like you mentioned, just what type of different options does that give you as a coach with just differently looking at?
Yeah, I think all the guys that have played with the ball in their hands, they all are a little unique in their own way. They all have a little bit of a different skill set out there on the floor. And listen, we've always played a multi-handler system. Even going back when we had Greasel and Derek and Bandamel, those guys all handled the ball. When we had Jamarcus with Bryce, a couple of years ago, they would take turns sometimes bringing the ball up the floor, and it's having as many playmakers on the floor as you can. I think that's when you're toughest to guard, is when you got 5 guys that can pass, shoot, and dribble. And this year I do think we have a better shooting team, at least that has shown in the summer with our percentages. And that's we did not shoot. We shot under 45% on wide open threes last year, you got to be better than that. I think team shot 45 against us. We shot under 37 on open threes. That's not good enough. You have to be able to knock down your shots, and I do think we've addressed that with this group. And when you have an 8 percentage point different on open threes with your opponent and you, it's sometimes it can be hard to win those games. So I do think that we shoot it better, but I think we play make. We've got more guys that can make plays this year.
Have you seen somebody like Rink take Leo underneath his wing and both international guys with team skill sets versus?
Yeah, and I think Oogie has helped as well. Oogie's a guy I haven't talked much about, but he's a guy that can shoot it. He can pass. He's got a really good assist to turnover ratio with what he has shown this summer. And listen, Rink's still working his way back. So and then Leo had the extended time away, but he is good for him. And we tell Leo, watch Rink. He knows this system inside and out. And when you're getting the next rep, make sure you see what he's doing out there on the floor. So yeah, Rink can be a huge help for him as well as Oogie. You got 3 international guys at that spot, and again, I think all of them can play. And then the other guys, Jared's got the size and athleticism, to be able to play multiple positions and play both front court spots. So we do have some depth this year on the front line as well, which again, last year that was not one of our strengths.
I know Jared had a knee injury last year. How's that looked? Has he been limited at all with that?
He was limited a little bit early, but he's been full go, for the last couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in a little bit more of an extended time. He's still working his way back into shape, but again, Jared with his pop and athleticism and ability to make shots. I mean, he'll go on runs where he hits 2 or 3 threes in a row, and then again with his athleticism, we needed that with this roster. And at the end of the summer, that was a great pickup for us.
Bryce said you've been tinkering with his shot. How is that going?
Price?
Yeah.
Well, he's shooting the cover off the ball right now, so that's been good. The biggest thing I saw early, I thought he was rushing the shot a little bit, and he wasn't finishing. But the last few weeks he's been if there's been a better shooter in the country, I'd like to see it, because he's making everything right now.
Jamarcus on the radio last week made a comment like, with how good you guys are shooting this, he doesn't know if you guys are really shooting that good or if the defense is not. I guess, how do you judge that this time of year with how good the shooting actually is, or how good your defense is actually?
Well, I think you compare numbers. I mean, we played the same defense last year, and when you look at the numbers where they are right now, it's a much higher shooting percentage. But listen, it doesn't matter until you get out in the fall, and can you make them when the lights turn on? I mean, that's going to be the true test of it. But we can only judge on what we've seen so far, and this team has been a group. And the other thing, they're unselfish. If there's an extra pass to make, they make it. And when you've got 2, what we call lasers on the side of the floor, you got a Connor and a Price out there together, then it's kind of a pick the poison who you're going to rotate to. Or last year, I think we had guys maybe you stunted and stayed home, with a Connor or with a shooter. So again, I when you have 5 guys that can knock down shots, it's a fun team to coach. There's a lot of options, a lot of things you can run out there, and then again, if the defense makes a mistake, hopefully you can make them pay. Where last year, sometimes if a team made a mistake, we'd have a wide open shot and we'd throw it off the side of the backboard. So and again, listen, you look at last year's team, we're missing a lot of what we lost. I mean, we missed Jawan, his intangibles, what he brought every day. Obviously, we missed Bryce, a guy that could just flat out go get you a bucket when you needed one. Raleigh had great size at the one before Raleigh got hurt. He was having a hell of a year. Andrew Morgan brought a lot to that team. So we missed a lot of the guys, but I do think when you look overall, top to bottom with this group, we do have better shooting. And again, there's some areas we're lacking. We're not as good, in some of the things that we did a year ago. But I do think shooting is definitely something that we addressed.
Is there one player that surprised you, the coaching staff, the most with their development the past 6 weeks?
I've just been impressed with the overall group. I've seen pretty much growth across the board. I don't think there's been one guy that has gone the wrong direction in these 5+ weeks that we've had, and that's for us, that's what you want to see. That's what makes you proud of them when they have it. I've had individual meetings with all the returners last week on Friday. I'm going to meet with all the newcomers today, and just make sure everybody's clear and understands and what's expected of them when they're gone, and how we can take this thing to the next level. So I've just been impressed across the board with how this group has continued to get better.
What's
Where
the
would you like,
timeline?
where would you like to see improvement, going into the fall collectively?
I'd like to see us physicality. I could see us, you know, definitely being a need for us to be more physical, and especially in this league, I think the league's gonna be an absolute monster, the best it's ever been, certainly since I've been here, and you know, you have to have a level of physicality to you if you want to compete. So I do think that you know, playing with more physicality on every possession and understanding the urgency of it. And listen, you know, 2 years ago we won a lot of those close games. Last year we lost 3 in a row by 2 points, and you know, we did a lot of really good things last year, but we didn't close as well last year as we did the year before, and it was all different ways. You know, a guy hits a 3, Minnesota. You know, we miss a 3, Michigan. You know, Ohio State. You know, just a tough way to end that. Iowa overtime. You know, so there was a lot of games that we just need to be 1 or 2 possessions better, and physicality is a big part of that. Giving up an offensive rebound, going and getting an extra possession for your team. So you know, I just like to see that continue to grow and continue to improve. Sorry, Mike, go on.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good.